Hello and welcome to this episode of Cosmic Crow Tarot, where today I'm going to be sharing the newest deck in my collection with you, the Sola Busca Tarot. Now this might be the newest deck in my collection, but it also might be the oldest deck in the entire world. Created back in 1491, this deck is probably, maybe not, Tarot might have been around a long time before that, but as far as we know, this is one of the oldest decks in the entire world. It's the tarot masterpiece of the Italian Renaissance. I almost got a little tongue-tied there. I'm sorry about that. Now, this is a copy of it, like a remake of it. It's not the real deal. From what I can find out, it was made on copper plates, the original ones, and they were lost until about 2009 when somebody finally shared them or found them, and that's why we have this deck now. Now, before we get into this, and this isn't really an unboxing video, I want to do something else with it. There is one deck that we consider one of the oldest decks in the entire world. One that people know and love that so many decks are created from and inspired by. The Rider Waite Smith deck, created by Pamela Coleman Smith under the direction of Edward Waite from the Order of the Golden Dawn back in 1909, is considered the first deck ever with illustrated pips. Now, that's what I've always heard, and that's probably what you've heard as well. And you can see there, you've got the Fool from the top. We move down into the middle. There's the Five of Wands, where they're struggling and everything. And this is the deck that they believe was the first to ever have those illustrated pips. Whereas, say, the Marseille Tarot didn't have those, and like instead of the Five of Wands having all those characters fighting, the Five of Wands had 5 wands all stacked like together, like in different positions and stuff, and it wasn't as easy to read intuitively. And that's why when the Rider Waite Smith came along, people fell in love with it so much, because there was so much more you could do with it, so many more pictures that you could actually connect with and get inspired by, and to connect with your intuition more and more. So that is the deck that we believe is the oldest one and the first one to have illustrated pips. But since I found this deck, and this is the reason that I wanted it so much as a tarot collector, it is believed that this is the deck that inspired Pamela Coleman Smith to create this one. So what we're going to do in this video is do a side-by-side comparison between the two decks. The 78 cards in this one included the illustrating pips, and the 78 cards in the Rider Waite Smith. Now I am going to set the Rider Waite Smith over here to the side so we can get this box open. You can see how it works. It opens like this, and you can see there, it's got a nice little flip top there. I don't have any other decks in my collection that open like this, so it's really cool. And you have the guidebook right here, and the little thing that you can hold so you can get things out. And the guidebook is very detailed. It's colored and illustrated, and you can see the different things in there and the different illustrations in there. And it's very informative, so you know you can add the guidebook there if you need any answers and stuff, because this is an old deck. In modern times, we've changed things, so this is a very medieval deck, and it kind of shows soldiers and stuff like that. But what we really want to look at is to see how similar it is to the Rider Waite Smith. So I'm going to close this up. I'm going to set that aside, and you can kind of see the little corner there. You can see the two cards side by side. Now the Major Arcana, as we know, always begins with the Fool. That is the card that begins the entire tarot, because the Fool is the one that leaps off the cliff and goes into the unknown and meets all these characters and becomes these characters in order to find the success of the world. So this illustration we all know and love. This is the Fool. He's got his little bag there. He's got his white flower showing the innocence he has as he begins. The orange of his cuffs right there show the flame and the passion that's inside of him to go after it. And his little dog is beside him, showing him, you know, either giving him a message of caution or saying that this inner animal within is ready to embark on this path. Now the one from 1491, the Sola Busca Tarot, instead of the dog that we have over here, we have a crow. So we know that it's either a crow or a raven. Those are very hard to tell the difference between crows. Or ravens are bigger, their call is a little bit rougher, and they're just all around a little bit more superior. But don't tell the crows that. You know how much I love crows, and I appreciate both of them so much. But the illustration here, it kind of looks similar to this, but it's not exact. And we know with the Major Arcana, even with the Marseille style, with the different suits of the Minor Arcana, they might not have been illustrated as much, but the Major Arcana always was. So this Major Arcana very much illustrated as much as this one. And we can see the illustration there. He's not necessarily on a cliff, but he is embarking on a path, and he's getting the wisdom from his bird here. And so we have the 0 right there. I'm not sure what the TO means, but it might be Italian, because we have that Italian Renaissance energy connected to it. It kind of shows leaving behind what no longer serves you, what's dead and has been gone, so you can begin a new path. We move from the Fool to the Magician. nothing right there. And it's not very similar at all. We have the yellow energy here, and please by all means know that I do not think that this deck is by any means superior to the Rider Waite Smith. Pamela Coleman Smith is one of the greatest artists of all time. Her Rider Waite Smith deck, that deck, it doesn't compare to any other deck. It's the most incredible deck ever. The one that we all are inspired by, the most beautiful illustrations and the color and symbology in it, there's nothing compare. But I do think that there is a little bit of inspiration here, and that's what I wanted to find out. So the magician here, he has the four suits right there. He's got this cup, the sword, the wand, and the pentacle, and he's bringing the ideas from his mind down to the world below, you know, as above, so below. Here, though, it seems the magician is going off into war. He's going to take those actions and fight for them and fight for what he wants. So that's very much an energy of the magician as well. And he's got everything he needs to succeed again. And he's got that one right there to remind us that this is the magician. Maybe instead of the pentacle, the cup, the wand, and the sword, that sheath of armor right there, that I cannot remember the word right now, but that thing, you know, that keeps you from like getting hit by weapons and stuff like that, that could be seen as his personal magic. And he's embarking on this path that the fool originally was told by the raven, you know, getting the inspiration and the idea that the fool over here gets, and embarking on that new path and beginning something new. Next we move to the High Priestess. And now this is a very masculine deck, but back in 1491, women definitely were not appreciated all that much, so that is very much a part of this deck, and like obviously shows the different you know, how much times have changed. The High Priestess of the Major Arcana with the Rider Waite Smith, she sits between the Boaz and Joaquin pillars from the Temple of Solomon. It has the black and white showing, you know, being able to see both sides and trusting that intuition. Whereas here, it's just kind of, we see the back, and it's taking that time to look, to think about what we do before we begin it. Whereas this guy, the magician, is taking off and beginning and taking action. This one is stopped. He's paying attention to those thoughts in his mind and trusting his intuition before he moves forward. Now, again, there's different symbology here. Perhaps the guidebook shares information about that. This video would be very, very long if I took the time to look at that now. But, you know, if this is a deck that calls to you and you want a reading with it, by all means, feel free to let me know, and I will use the guidebook in the reading as well, written out. I always put the information from the guidebook in there as well, because I feel like it's important to know that part as much as like what I share with you. So we move from the High Priestess to the Empress, and even the Empress in this deck over here very much seems a masculine character. And we know men are not the ones that create life itself. That is the woman in the womb inside the woman that creates the baby. But we do have the illustration here nonetheless, and it kind of shows this little piece of hay or cornstalk silk or whatever it is right here. It kind of gives me that idea of what you can use to create something, taking something out of making something out of nothing, and really taking that creative energy and growing it and making it into something. And we have the red right here and the wand right here showing that passion can take us far. So that's a little bit of information we might not have gotten from any other deck, and it shows like the creative power we possess, no matter if we're a male or a female, or we see ourselves as both. You know, times have changed. We're not the masculine energies that we necessarily were back in 1491, and this is not like the woman that we see with the Empress right here with the symbol of Venus and the corn silk here, but there is a connection there if I'm right about this. That could be the corn silk and that can be the corn growing, and it shows that ability to just take something, plant a seed and create something with that seed and grow it into something more. Move from the Empress to the Emperor. Now these illustrations are rather similar with that red, and that purple kind of represents royalty, I believe. And back in 1491, you know, kingdoms, castles, kings and queens and stuff like that, they were the ones in charge. They were the ones that had the most power and stuff. So having that energy here kind of shows the royalty that the Emperor is. And we have that 4 right there. And he's going off into action. But what's interesting about this illustration versus the Empress here, who seems to be looking forward, you know, what she can create moving forward, the Emperor is looking backwards. So he's looking at where he's been. He's learning from the experience and becoming the strong foundation that he needs to be. But unlike the Emperor of the Rider Waite Smith, he's still taking action on those goals. He's learning what he can and growing those actions into something more. So he's got that energy, the same energy as the Emperor, you know, of the Rider Waite Smith. He's got that armor right there and the flag and everything, showing the power he possesses as he takes action to learn from those experiences of his past and see himself as the strong foundation that he is. Move from the Emperor to the Hierophant. And seeing the different Italian words and stuff on these cards, I definitely feel like I need to like brush up on Italian or learn a little bit of it so I can study this deck more and really connect with it more. But as it is now, I do not know Italian. I pretty much just know English. I know a little bit of French. I know a little bit of every language to an extent, but beside the point, the Hierophant, I almost called him the High Priestess, but the Hierophant of the Major Arcana is the card of structured religion. Now, I don't personally like that in that meaning of it as much as say other people do, but I like the fact that when you're confident in yourself, you're the leader that you're meant to be, and you really feel like you know, like you trust your inner voice, you can help inspire others to do the same. Following your own unique path, being true to who you are, can inspire others to be confident in who they are as well. So the illustration we have here, the Sola Busca Tarot, kind of shows that energy of taking the time to learn. Again, they're looking forward but kind of looking down at the same time, kind of like that energy of the High Priestess of really learning from the past of humanity, and taking that information and moving forward with it. The energy of the 5, now the 5 is down here in the corner. I don't know if you can see that all that well, but the energy of that 5 is the change and transformation energy of numerology. So it takes that knowledge of the past in order to change the future and transform it into the one you really want. So this kind of says, take that passion. We've got the red there, the red's there, and it shows using your magic with the royalty and the purple there, and really taking the time to learn from where you've been, so you can use that knowledge and wisdom to change your life for the better, and inspire others to change their lives too, and transform our lives into the ones we truly want to live. Moving from the Hierophant to the Lovers. The Lovers of the Rider Waite Smith shows the two characters under the angel in the Garden of Eden, we most likely think, but the illustration over here, it only shows one person. Now this is the only deck I think I have in my collection that shows the Lovers as one person instead of two, and I absolutely love this because I think this is so important. RuPaul says it at the end of every single one of the episodes of RuPaul's Drag Race, and that's something I really love and enjoy watching. But if you can't love yourself, how in the hell do you expect to love someone else? So when you love yourself, when you see yourself as that confident, amazing person you are, and truly love the skin that you're in, you can do anything. And when you love yourself, you show others how worthy you are of their love as well. So finding that love for yourself helps you to create the life you truly love, and helps to find the ones that truly love you for who you are. So that is very much this illustration. I feel like it shows it just, I know my own worth. I see myself as the strong foundation I need to be. I know I can change my life into the one I truly love and enjoy. And I love myself enough that I don't care if anybody else loves me. But I know if I love myself, then I can show others I'm worthy of love too. So we move from the Lovers to the Chariot. And the illustration here, very similar. This one's moving forward though, while this one is looking directly at us, taking that energy that we've learned from the past and taking control, getting behind the driver's seats of our lives and driving our chariots to where we want to be. Now, so far, I think this is the illustration that is the most similar to the Rider Waite Smith. It shows like taking that cart, definitely more detailed here in the Rider Waite Smith. It seems you've got the sphinxes right there, like the knowledge and wisdom of the past, and taking that and moving forward. Moving forward, we move to the next card, which is Strength, and I believe this would be Strength over here too. With the Rider Waite Smith versus the Marseille, Strength and Justice are interchangeable. In the Marseille Tarot, Strength is 11 and Justice is 8, whereas right here we have Strength as 8 and Justice as 11. Now in the Rider Waite Smith, we have the Maiden here holding open the mouth of the lion, showing taming that inner beast, finding the strength to overcome our inner demons so we can move forward and find the success and wealth that we deserve. This illustration, though, seems to be holding the baby over the flames. Either that or it's saving the baby from the flames. I feel like that's a better meaning of this card than, threatening the baby with the flames. That's not a good idea anytime ever. Please don't do that. But we have the illustration here, and probably this kind of relates to one of my the Strength of the Titanic Tarot, because it shows having that strength to help others too, being kind to the world, having the strength to fight for what's important, fight for what matters, fight for what you believe in, and taking the time to find the strength so you can save the baby from the flames or save the innocents. Definitely relates to strength to me. We can see it as justice as well, though, because that energy of strength, having the strength to fight for others, shows having the strength to be fair to others and make sure they are worthy of finding their balance of worthy and fairness and justice as well. So move from Strength to the Hermit, and illustrations again a little bit similar but not quite. The Hermit over here is an elderly gentleman. He's standing there on the cliffs of the winter. He's learned all his experiences. He's got his light in this little cage right there, his little lantern, showing the light he has within, taking the time out for himself, spending some time in solitude to get to know the secrets of his soul. Over here, he's very much alone as well. He's taking the time to look up, listening to his inner voice, learning the higher truth, knowing that experiences of his past can help him change his future into what he wants him to be. And it seems he's very much on his knees here too. He's experienced a lot of pain in his past. You know, he's had to save babies from fires before. He's had to see a lot of things and learn a lot of lessons. And it's those lessons and wisdom that give him the ability to transform his life for the better, to take those knowledges and wisdom to make his future what he wants him to be. The energy of the nine connected to the hermit shows just how much the past can teach us. It contains the energy of all the numbers that have come before it. So the strength shown here with learning, like having that strength and finding that strength, learning from the past is what gives us that strength, so we can find our power in the present. And you can even see, like the illustration here, he's looking back towards it, whereas this one is looking up to the top, because he knows that there's something more that he needs to learn, and shining a light in the darkness within can help him find that. So the hermit moves to the Wheel of Fortune, and we do have a wheel here in the illustration of the Rider Waite Smith, but the Wheel of Fortune over here just has the X to remind us that it is the 10 of the Major Arcana. This might mean wheel as well, but again, I do not know Italian, so I don't know that for sure. But again, he's looking from where he's been, but he's got that stance that he can turn around and he can move forward whenever he wants, taking that knowledge of the past that we talked about with the hermit here, and taking that knowledge and spinning the wheel to begin the next chapter of his story with confidence. Now, what we've gathered from this deck so far is every single one of the characters seem to have this shield. And I think this is the first time I've said the word shield in this video, and I think that is what it's actually called, the shield to protect us. He doesn't have that shield. It's like he doesn't need it anymore, and he's learned all those lessons, and he's overcome all those obstacles, so he can turn those legs around and move forward with confidence. It kind of has the energy of the Page of Wands here, you know, beginning something new. He's got his wand there, so he can start out and he can make the future again what he wants it to be by spinning the wheel, finding the confidence, and believe that luck and good fortune are on his side because he's learned the experiences of the past. Wheel of Fortune is followed by Justice. And we have Justice here, you know, sitting there much like the High Priestess between the two pillars, holding the scale, showing how balanced and fair life is for him. And we have Justice over here, which is very much kind of like this card, and it shows like the progress moving forward. He's found the wisdom, the knowledge, the experience, and the confidence he needs to begin the next chapter of his story. And he's got the shield that seems to have been lost or left behind in the illustration of the Wheel of Fortune here. But he's got that behind him, and he's looking at his little wand right there. Well, it's not little, it's as tall as he is. But he's taking that knowledge, and you've got the flame here in the wand, and it shows that passion and fire that can drive us forward. And he's moved forward. He's taken that knowledge of his past, and he's ready to begin the next part of his story because he's being fair and balanced to himself. So there is a big difference between this illustration of Justice and this illustration of Justice, because this one is sitting still, looking forward, whereas this one is very much ready to embark on a new path and begin something new. The Hanged Man follows Justice, and we do have the Hanged Man that we all know and love over here, hanging upside down in what seems like the yogi tree pose, and showing the enlightenment that comes when we just take time to learn from where we've been and have patience with the process. Now, this illustration does not seem like a man that's hanging upside down or spending time getting to know himself, but he is looking backwards again, showing that learning from the past energy. So what's really interesting about this one is he seems to have all his armor, he seems to have all the experiences he needs, and this cup that's in his hands kind of shows the Ace of Cups energy, taking the time to decide where he wants to go next. Now, if we were just using this intuitively, we know the Hangman over here is the Hangman. It says it's got that energy, and he's hanging upside down. Whereas this one, all we have is that little 12 right there. So if we know Roman numerals, we know this is the Hangman, learning from that experience, and he seems to have a hermit vibe to him, you know, being alone and learning from that past to move forward. Moving forward, we have Death. And this very much has the illustration of death, because you see he's got the sword down through the guy's eye. It's like a spear of some sort, taking, like, learning and letting what needs to die so you can find the confidence to move forward. So this does seem like death in the Rider Waite Smith as well, and it shows that energy of actual death to remind us that it is. But death of the tarot rarely means actual death, if ever. I think I've only seen one reading that I've done that it represented death, and the death had already occurred, so it was a past experience. Whereas death of the tarot shows transformation, like rebirth after letting whatever no longer serves you come to an end. Now this is the first illustration I believe we've come to where they're both looking forward, because what no longer serves us no longer needs to be paid attention to. Learning from those experiences is what gives us the power to move forward, and both of these characters are moving forward because they've learned what they need and they're being reborn to begin something new. So move from death to temperance. We have the angel there, showing like taking the knowledge of the past, blending it with the new. 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on land, showing the alchemist of the tarot, and taking that knowledge and making our futures what we want it to be because we've learned the lessons. Now, the illustration of temperance over here does not have that water or anything like that, but it kind of has this, the shield that he has seems to have seen some wear and tear, showing the lessons that he's learned in the past give him what he needs to move forward. So we do have a lot of that energy here, and that's what the tarot is all about, to me at least. Taking that knowledge, getting that confidence we need to empower ourselves to move forward. Learning the lessons of our past, again, can help give us what we need to make our futures what we want them to be. And like the hermit of the Major Arcana that we met earlier, he's down on his knees and he's looking up towards the sky, taking that faith that the universe has our backs, that God, spirit, your higher self, however you want to see it, has our backs and is able to give us what we need so we can have the confidence to move forward. Moving forward again, we have the devil, and we do have the illustration of the devil over here, the two characters that seem like they're stuck in imprisonment, but they're not. They can easily remove those chains around their necks and move forward and not be trapped by the vices and addictions that hold them back. And he seems to be the only character we've met so far, with the exception of the chariot sitting in his chariot and being able to like drive it to where he wants to be. He seems to be the only one that's like sat down, and he seems to be pointing to this castle in front of him with that pillar right there, and perhaps letting the authority that he believes hold him prisoner. So maybe it's not the devil energy that we see here necessarily, but it still shows a block because that seems to be sitting on his way, and he can't seem to find his way forward from that. Devil moves to the Tower, the most feared card of the entire tarot, but we do see that Tower as a positive in the sense that we've let the vices and addictions go and we're able to learn from those experiences and rebuild a better tower moving forward. Now there's no illustration of the tower here, but we have this character, this little animal right here that seems to be an experience of the past, something that we can no longer have in our lives. I might be pulling a stretch here, but we no longer have that. But learning from those experiences, learning from the past and those towers collapsing in our own lives, our own situations coming to an end, as well as humanity's and changing and transforming, and learning from the history of our lives and history of humanity can help us rebuild a better tower moving forward. Tower moves to the star, the card of hope and inspiration when all hope seems lost. And the illustration here shows the maiden, pouring her water in, pouring the water on the land too, taking that star power that's within all of us and, creating the life that you truly want to live. And this one seems very, old and just, even a little bit damaged. And it's kind of interesting. Like I said, this deck it's a copy from 1491. So this kind of shows just all that experience that has gone through it. Learning from those experiences give us our star power and help us create the life that we truly love and enjoy. And even after the tower falls, you're looking back, you're looking from those experiences and you're taking control and rebuilding. This shows the star that you are. The angel wings almost behind him, those wings give him the power he needs to take control, to use his star power and make his life what he wants it to be. Star moves to the moon. You can see the illustration here. This one shows animals, this one shows a man. There's not as many animals in this deck. I don't think in 1491 they necessarily cared about animals as much as we probably do today. With the illustration there, he's barefoot close, so it kind of shows connecting with the ground, connecting with our higher selves and the energy of the earth. And he looks up towards the sky, suggesting he's taking that energy of the moon, trusting his intuition and his higher self to get where he wants to be. The most positive card of the tarot. The sun is up next. And he does seem to be the happiest character we've seen so far, much like the child here in the Rider Waite Smith illustration of the sun. You know, the confidence to believe you are worthy of that day in the sun, learning from where you've been, connecting with your inner child perhaps, and taking that wand and making your life what you want it to be. The sun moves to judgment, and we have the illustration of judgment right there with the Rider Waite Smith. And the illustration over here, and we see the destruction of the tower over here, and the lightning bolt or whatever this is coming down and shooting him. And this is learning from where we've been, judging ourselves fairly for the past, forgiving ourselves for the past, so we can move forward and find the success of the world. And there's the completion of the Major Arcana. We're already 25 minutes into this, and I haven't even got to what I really want to share with you, like the Minor Arcana. That's the ones that are really important. So we'll just really quickly look at the world, the illustration over here, the Rider Waite Smith, and the world over here. We see that could be the world with the blue circle back there, and learning from all those experiences, knowing that we can find the success in the world, feel the top of the world, again, when we learn from the past and forgive ourselves for that past. Now to the Minor Arcana. I'm just going to go through these and show you the different illustrations like we have been doing. The Ace of Cups, you can see there being held out with a hand. This one seems to have the cherubs up at the top, you know, giving us that inspiration, telling us to go after our dreams and what we love. The Two of Cups has just one, but he's got that romantic energy, like toasting their cups over here with the Rider Waite Smith. He's got the energy, he's got his little violin. I don't know if that's exactly a violin, but he's got his musical instrument there and he's playing it, so it shows that loving energy, that just when our hearts feel joy and we sing the heart songs of our souls, and those songs connect with somebody else's, and finding that connection with somebody else. The Three of Cups, it's not exactly as illustrated as the Three of Cups over here, but we do see the three cups, and it shows like stacking together, celebrating, having that loving energy. Four of Cups, the boredom card of the tarot, and the illustration over here, you know, focused on what no longer serves us instead of seeing what still remains. Whereas over here, they seem to have all the cups up here, but they only seem to be noticing in the garbage or looking in there, and they don't seem to be paying much attention. This is very important to see, though. The Rider Waite Smith is not the only one with illustrated pips, not the first one necessarily, as this deck came first. This is very much illustrated. It's definitely not as illustrated and beautiful as, per se, the Rider Waite Smith, but it is very illustrated and very much intuitive. You can look at it. It kind of reminds me of like the Deviant Moon Tarot, and I think the Five of Cups, you know, looking not necessarily like the energy we usually get, but the energy of, you know, looking at stuff that might no longer serve us. The Four moves to Five. You see the character there. It's very much looking at what's been lost. I call it the crying over spilled milk card, because you can't get it back no matter how much you want to try. And this guy seems to be longing for something that's no longer there, asking perhaps God why they've taken it away. Six of Cups, the card of reminiscing about the past and nostalgia. You know, the illustration here, the older boy is sharing a flower with his sister, most likely. Might just be a younger girl that he was friends with. And the illustration over here, everything is stacked up. You know, the cherubs seem to be playing and enjoying themselves. So we have an energy of a child, connecting with our inner child, and really having more fun and enjoying ourselves. Six moves to the card of choices with the Seven of Cups. And this one shows like anything is possible, you know, seeing the good in life, seeing all the opportunities that are around. And this one has that energy very much more than this illustration per se, but it shows all the different opportunities when we're able to reflect on that past and learn from that past. We can choose the choice moving forward that fills us with the most joy. The Eight of Cups, the card of leaving behind what no longer serves us so we can find what does. We have the illustration over here all neatly stacked up. The illustration over here, definitely not as neatly stacked up, but it does seem they're still ready to leave behind what no longer serves them. They're able to move forward. They can probably fly. I mean, they're little baby angels. I think they can fly, and they have wings. We just can't see them. And they move forward and leave behind what no longer emotionally satisfies them. Then we have the Nine of Cups, the wish card of the tarot, showing the power we possess when we learn from the experiences of our past and are fulfilled in our hearts to know that we can make our lives what we want it to be. And then the Happy Family card of the tarot, which shows the happy family over here. But this guy even seems sad because his family seems to be nothing but a bunch of cups. And, you know, that's not necessarily what makes us happy or fills us with joy, But if we're comfortable in our own skin and we love the skin we're in, we can see ourselves as the family we need to feel emotionally fulfilled. The Page of Cups, and I think this is the first one that looks like a female in this deck, and it shows she is looking back, but she's learning from that experience so she can make her future what she wants it to be. And unlike this illustration where he's conversing with a fish, this one she seems to be just in awe of the cup in front of her. The Knight of Cups, both illustrations depict the knight moving forward, letting his heart lead his way to finding a life that he truly loves and enjoys. And this one seems to have the actual cup that's in this one. This one, though, the cup seems to be this thing by his mouth, and he looks very dedicated and confident to going after what emotionally fulfills him. The Queen of Cups, and both seem to be in the same exact stance. She seems to be in what looks like the chariot. It's able to move, it has the wheel, so she can go back and she can show compassion to herself and empathy to herself and others from where she's been. But both characters, both queens, seem to be very focused on that cup in front of them. And then we have the King of the Suit, who always leads in life, letting his heart lead his way forward, and loves himself and loves others, and always follows his heart whenever he makes a choice. And this illustration reminds me much of the Fool that we began with, because it has that dead tree, and there's the bird. It's not a crow or raven this time, but that bird could be sharing his light and love with him as well, giving him the inspiration he needs to really take control and let his heart lead his way forward. The Suit of Pentacles is next, and we have the cherubs right there beginning again. The Two of Pentacles, this one very much shows like balance despite the chaos in the background, where this one just shows the two characters in link. So this one kind of has more of a Two of Cups energy, I feel, but still it's got the two pentacles right there. The Three of Pentacles, very different illustrations. This one shows collaboration with others, where this one seems like a Ten of Wands energy, showing taking everything on and feeling burdened by all the things we have going on. The Four of Pentacles, holding on to your money for a rating day. She seems to be much like that energy of the Three of Cups we just met, or Three of Pentacles. See, I'm getting into the cup stuff. The Three of Pentacles there, having so much like weighing us down or overburdening us. She seems to have that same energy because she's got all these pentacles in here. She's got one in her hand, and at least there's not one laying on the ground, because then we'd have this energy of I need to stop and get that one as well. So holding on to your money for a rainy day, that is the energy of a Four of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles is feeling down on your luck, and this illustration shows like them moving forward and not necessarily seeing that there's help to be found. This one doesn't seem to have help being found as well. Kind of that Five of Cups energy we met earlier. Not necessarily learning the experiences of the past, but letting the pain of the past hold us back in the present. Six of Pentacles, the sharing is caring card right here. And this one kind of has an energy of the Eight of Pentacles to me, but we aren't there yet. We're almost there. And this one shows fairness and balance connected to the Justice card we met earlier with the scales. This one shows hard at work at your goals. But when you work on those goals and you're hard at work at them, you're dedicated and focused, that's when you can share them with others because you've worked so hard to achieve them. The Seven of Pentacles, the card of having patience and not giving up. Just progress is having patience and working towards it is progress, not giving up when things get difficult. He's got all his little pentacles stacked up there, but he's not giving up and he's still working, and he's got his little bird of inspiration there as well. The Eight of Pentacles. Now, like I said, this illustration was much like the Six of Pentacles we saw over here, but this one is the Eight of Pentacles. We have the little 8 right there, and it does kind of have this weird energy to it that even if we work hard to achieve all our goals, there is a negative connotation there. And even no matter how hard we try, like still everything's gonna end. So there is that Linkin Park energy right there. You try so hard, you get so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. So hard work and effort, it works in the present. So we can get that successful woman card of the 9. The energy over here, very dark and despairing, it seems, because all that work he's put in, he's on fire now. But this could be seen as like the passion and fire that we need that drives us forward. And the more passionate we are about a goal, the more success we can find with it. And that is the success of the 9 of Pentacles. And then we have the 10 of Pentacles, the card of inheritance, generations of family coming together. And here we have the illustration of all the pentacles in this chest. And it kind of shows like all the pentacles that were made in the past that perhaps could be an inheritance for us. The Page of Pentacles. The characters here look rather similar. They both seem focused on their goals. This one, the pentacle is up in his hands and he's very much looking at it. This one, it is by their feet, so they're not necessarily looking at it, but they have that passion and drive. And that blue of the boot over here suggests the the high priestess of the Major Arcana, and trusting their intuition as they go and work towards their goals as well. Then we have the Knight of Pentacles, the one that's ready to put in the patience, no matter how boring and mundane it might be, soldiering on towards his goals. Now this one is moving backwards, so it kind of has that energy of sometimes we have to go back in order to move forward. The Queen of Pentacles is next, and they seem to be the exact opposite. She's looking back, she's looking at her pentacle and maybe how she's created it. This one seems to be thinking about how she can create more moving forward. The King of Pentacles, sitting on his throne, he's got the fruits of his labor all around him. He's worked hard to achieve his goals, and this one seems to have worked hard to achieve their goals as too. So they sit there and they're just confident, they're looking back at their past, and they're knowing they've made a name for themselves because they've worked hard to achieve it. Then we move from the Kings of the Pentacles suit to the Wands suit, and we have the illustration there with the hand like the rest of the aces that we see, and here there's only two cherubs and they're both like almost fighting over that, so it kind of has a Two of Wands energy, the should I stay or should I go card, really arguing like in our heads, do we have more than one passion, more than one thing we want to focus on. Two of Wands, the actual should I stay or should I go card, and he's looking out in the water, and this one is looking forward, taking those ideas in his mind, making them into something more, taking those passions and moving forward with them. The Three of Wands, I'm getting a little bit messed up here. The Three of Wands, my favorite card of the tarot, showing that passion of fire. When we make the choice to follow it, we can inspire others to do the same. Now this character does not seem to be in a good place at all. He's taken his ideas and maybe got trapped by them, but he's got the wings on his head as well, so it kind of has that energy of the messenger of the gods, Mercury, and communicating those ideas and taking those ideas and running with them. So he's got the success wreath down there too, showing once you take those ideas and you run with those passions, letting that inner fire lead you, you can create anything. So there's that energy of the three. But I can also see a message of caution with this three, of don't get so hung up on these ideas that we feel trapped by them. Three of Wands moves to the Four of Wands, and here we see the celebratory, two lives coming together. The members of the Two of Cups that we met earlier, combining their energy, getting married and stuff like that. Here it seems the Wands have become part of him and part of his hats, for lack of a better word, and he's reflecting on that past, seeing himself as the strong foundation that he is. Five of Wands, conflicting over here with the Five of Wands, showing the people fighting amongst each other. Immaturity, other people's passions conflicting with their own. Here he doesn't seem to have anyone against him, but he seems to be conflicted with himself, and a lot of times that energy of the Five of Wands, it's not someone else that is causing us the obstacle that we have to face to be able to change and transform it. It's our own minds working against us, making us doubt ourselves, or making us think that we can't achieve something. So that energy of that five over here with the Wands is definitely there because there's no one around, but he's focusing too much on maybe the mistakes that he's experienced in the past, or maybe the reasons that he didn't succeed in the past, and it's hindering him in the present. Six of Wands, the card of celebrating our victories no matter how small. Again, no one is around this character, and this is very interesting because there's so many people in this deck, and you don't really notice that unless you have it compared to another one, and all the people that are celebrating with him. And here, though, he's just moving forward. He has his light there. He has his inspiration. He's learned from the past, and he's very much moving forward. He even has the purple showing the magic that he possesses, and the royalty that even his underwear's falling down. He doesn't have shoes or anything. His shoes are broken, but he's still confident and ready to go forward because he celebrates those victories and who he is. 6 moves to 7, and we have the Seven of Wands there, overcoming the obstacles that stand in our way, and he's there fighting the people that are against him, perhaps those people in the Five of Wands that finally want to stand up, and he's defending himself against them. Here again, no one's around, but he's fallen down and he's looking down because those obstacles seem too far to overcome. But again, if you get behind the wheel of your chariot, you take control, you can overcome anything. And that's when life starts moving faster. And here, instead of the character carrying all these wands, he's got the thing to carry them for him. They're all stacked neatly, just like these wands are moving forward quickly. He's taking that experience, he's finding the success and wealth he needs because he's overcome the obstacles that stood in his way of it. 8 moves to 9, the card of still needing to defend yourself because you experienced negativity in the past or others against you. And here she's covering herself, it seems, with the wands because other people might be distracting her and other people might be looking at her when she's not ready. The energy of the 9 of Wands, not all that positive. So we move forward with the wand suit, even with the 10 of Wands, not that positive. But we're close to the goal. We can't give up. And these little things, the Minor Arcana was always the energy of the tarot, the everyday things, the obstacles we have to overcome in order to achieve our goals. And here he seems to be overburdened with all the wands, but there's the town. He's closer than he thinks. And here all the wands are up here and crossed. They seem to have actually succeeded. So this is very much a more positive energy than this 10 of Wands, it seems. Page of Wands. Both seem to be in the same position. This one's very much focused, whereas this one's more focused. It seems to be curious about where you're going to go. Then we have the Knight of Wands. See, I did it again. The taller these stacks get, the harder it is to get them apart. Knight of Wands, both moving forward. Well, this one's moving forward, this one's moving backwards, it seems. But that passion taking them far. The Queen of Wands, the creative queen of the court. Very much a queen here, looking forward towards the future. This one looking directly at us, asking us what we're going to create. This one has the cat, this one doesn't, but still very much a queen, ready to take those passions and grow them. And then we have the King of the Suit. This one, they both seem to be staring in the same direction there, where they're both looking back at the past. They've learned those experiences of their past, and they know that their passion is taking them far, and that passion has given them like the knowledge that they need to tell others and inspire others to do the same. And then we get to the Suit of Swords. The illustrations here, the sheriffs are not in this illustration. It seems to be two characters. It's one of the few cards in this deck that depict more than one person. The sword here is red, showing that passion and fire is still connected to the mind as well. The sword's silver and a blade here with the hand, just like the rest of the aces of the suit. We have the Two of Swords, the card of reflection. Again, they seem to be working together though. We have the two characters, they're each holding a sword. So taking that time to really connect with somebody else and trusting our minds, whereas this one puts the ocean of emotion behind them so they can really reflect on where they've been and decide where they want to go. The Three of Swords. This card right here might be the closest illustration to the Rider Waite Smith. We have the stabbed heart. So maybe Pamela and Coleman Smith did get the inspiration from this deck. She definitely did a fantastic job on it. It's so, I mean, I don't want to say anything negative about the Sola Busca Tarot. This deck is incredible. It's very medieval Renaissance, and it has those beautiful illustrations. But the Three of Swords here, very close together. Otherwise, this deck seems to be very, very different. And it shows the heartbreak and betrayal, the pain of the past, you know, stabbing us in the present. The card of learning from the past, reflecting, taking that break we need, rest and reflection so we can make our futures, change our futures for the better. The illustration here seems to be everything has closed up. They found that victory, and it has that energy of the war thing that you see with the Rider Waite Smith here too. Taking that time to learn, the soldier comes back and he takes that time to rest because he didn't know if he was going to survive or not. And this has the skull perhaps of the victim of the person that has contained all these swords. He's got that energy and it kind of reflecting where you've been so you can see yourself as a strong foundation that you truly are. Move from the Four of Swords to the Five of Swords. The card of the victor or the victim, depending on who you relate to. The Five of Swords over here doesn't have any characters with it, whereas this one does. So this is more Marseille style, I feel. But it shows all the swords in there and kind of like connected and collected so that you know that you have the power to change your life for the better and you trust your mind to do so. The card of leaving behind the stress of the past to find happier times. The Six of Swords here, and this one seems very much controlled. The guy is taking the two characters because they couldn't have done it on their own, and this guy seems to be again overburdened by all the swords that he has. So maybe he needs to reflect on that past a little bit more and learn the lesson so he can love himself enough to move forward. The Seven of Swords is next. The Thief card of the tarot, taking away with all the swords, and he seems to be taking away with the swords as well, as no one is looking. Perhaps they're asleep as well, and he's moving forward while the other three stay there. He's got 4 of them, whereas this one has 5 instead of 4. The Eight of Swords, the card of feeling a prisoner of our own minds. And we do have the character over here that very much seems like a prisoner, but no one's around to keep her prisoner. She can move forward when she wants. And this one seems to be clutching something that they no longer need. If they just take that one that's in their hand and they're leading with, they can move forward and free themselves as well. The Nine of Swords, the card of staying awake at night, letting our inner demons keep us from getting a good night's sleep. This one very much depicts a character sitting up at night, whereas this one is still daylight, but seems to be looking into the darkness, like there's something that he's missing, some kind of inner demon or some kind of fear that that's still holding him back. The card of wanting to lay down and die, give up, because we've got so many swords stabbed in our backs. This one shows the actual swords in our back, but the horizon is full of creative energy, the potential. Go back to the Wheel of Fortune, the Major Arcana, knowing the past can no longer hurt us. We can move forward and begin the next chapter of our story when we have the confidence to spin the wheel that we believe that luck and good fortune are on our sides. This has an energy of the Ten of Wands to me, because it shows being overburdened with like all the swords that he has to hold on to. The Page of Swords is next. And we have that energy here, overcoming the obstacles that stand in our way, using the useful information that we have to slice through the lies and really move forward in our lives. Here, though, he seems to be playing a fiddle, or playing that instrument that we saw earlier. I don't remember which card that was, but finding that that experiences of the past and know like that wisdom that we need to make the futures what we want them to be. The Knight of Swords, they both seem to be moving in the same direction, and he's ready to take down whatever's in front of him, slice through it so he can make his future what he wants it to be. Now this illustration does show me that this is the first one we've seen, because every single other one, the swords are covered in their shields, like they're sheathed, so they're not actually being used. But the Knight of Swords that we see here, he's taken his sword out. He's ready to take action. So it's kind of like this energy too, taking that time to like fight through the doubt we have in our minds, learning from the experiences of our past. The Queen of Swords is next. Whereas this queen has learned the experiences of her past and is leading in the present, this queen looks back on it, still reflecting on that so she can learn the lessons she needs to make the future what she wants it to be. And then we have the King of Swords as our final card here. The illustrations there rather similar, but this one sits down, whereas this one is standing up, ready to fight whatever he needs to fight to stay in that leadership. So that is a look at both of them. Here is like the extra little card. He showed you the deck. Beautiful illustrations on the back. It kind of looks like blood splatter, but it's so much prettier because it's pink. So those are the different decks. You can see the Rider Waite Smith. This is the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot to be exact, so these are not the exact backs that we usually see, which is I think the blue and white and black plaid that we usually see in the Rider Waite Smith. So if you enjoyed watching this video and watched it thoroughly, you can see clearly that it is true that the Rider Waite Smith is not the first deck that was the pips were illustrated as thoroughly. This deck is very much, it has the illustrated pips in it, but it's in no way any better than the Rider Waite Smith over here. This one is much more intuitive. The illustrations are gorgeous. They are the ones that like stand the test of time. So this one, you can see the similarities in it, but it is rather different. I can see a couple cards that she might have been inspired by, but by no means her creative energy just stands out so much. I did want to go through a flip through here and kind of show it though, and kind of see the different correspondences there. As with all my decks, if you like this deck and you would like a reading with it, then let me know. We can totally do that. Send me a message, comment on this video, book a reading directly from my website, or you can send me a message on any of my socials. All that information will be below. As always, I really want to thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it was rather informative and you learned something from it. I always appreciate you watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again in the next one.